What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Brody Frye, and welcome back to the Mind Hiking Podcast. Today, I got my sister back on the podcast, and this is going to be a fun one, as it always is with her. So, I know you guys really enjoyed her the last couple of times, and I know you'll have a blast with this one. So, stay tuned. Hey everyone, it's Brody Frye, and here we dive deep into difficult questions. We'll map out thoughts, theories, and crazy ideas for the love of knowledge and growth. So, how do we answer some of the mind's toughest questions? This is the Mind Hiking Podcast. All right, guys, this is going to be a really cool episode. I've been excited for this one for a long time. When I started the podcast, this was one of the first ideas that we kind of talked about, but kind of took us a while to get here finally. But I got Stefie Frye back on the podcast. How are you doing?
Heyo, I'm good.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you back.
Excited to be back.
Yeah, right now I am drinking a MGD, Miller Genuine Draft, and you got...
I got a Tito's Sprite.
Nice, in your cute little
in
glass.
My little water cup.
Yeah, it's
my
adorable.
little sippy cup.
Cheers. Okay, so the topic, because I haven't recorded the opener yet, but I don't know if I'm going to say it in the opener or not, but anyways, it is going to be a true crime episode, and we kind of bounced around back and forth whether or not we wanted to do like a single incident or if we wanted to do kind of like a multiple or kind of gloss over a bunch of them or what, but we're just gonna, I mean, this is pretty much unscripted. We got some notes, but we'll see how this goes. I think we're probably gonna do a couple.
Yeah, we'll probably bounce around. I mean, I listen to a lot of true crime, so we're probably gonna bounce off some little things, and I'll go on some little tidbits that I know from multiple different cases that are interesting.
Sounds good. And before we get into this too, it's not like you're just a true crime fanatic that just listens to true crime a lot. You're not like somebody that just like listens to a lot of podcasts and is just interested in it, but you were actually going to go to school for forensics, weren't you?
Yeah, I did. I did one forensics class.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I started doing college again for it, but it was during quarantine not quarantine, but it was during COVID everything, yep. And it was online, and I'm just way too ADHD to sit on my computer all day at home, so I was just not doing so great with it, so I decided to opt out of that for now, and I might pick it up again in the future because I really enjoyed it, but I just couldn't do schooling from home. There's just way too many distractions.
Definitely, yeah. But basically, I wanted to throw that out there so for the listeners, you're not just like you just throwing ideas out there like you don't know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about.
A little bit. I'm not like a professional by any means. But
you need to give yourself some more credit. You're very smart. So, yeah, and actually, what exactly were you trying to go to school for? What did you want to be?
So I wanted to pretty much do like CSI, like crime scene investigation, or like cleaning up crime scenes, and just like I really wanted to be on the scene of things, like very hands-on with it. Mm-hmm. I thought about potentially doing like interrogation stuff, but I don't think that I could be like mean enough to be like, why did you do this? And like, sit in the room. But I liked the idea of sitting there talking to these people, like these psychopaths about like
just picking
their brain. I mean, the psychology of it all just really interests me because I don't know. I think it's crazy.
Yeah. No, it is super crazy. It's fascinating how, some people just decide to do some of these messed up things. It's like, what goes through somebody's mind to not only to do something like that, but to get to that point in their lives, and like whether or not it was in their head originally, or if something in their past brought them to do some of these things. It's just
That's actually a really good segue into like what I had written down into my
cool.
notes, really. So like I feel like a big thing that I hear a lot, like talking about like serial killers and like what makes them who they are, is like the nature versus nurture aspect. So like the nature being like you were born the way that you are and you're born being a terrible fucking person, or the nurture aspect where you had a terrible childhood and went through some trauma and went through some shit and you just like, you know, pissed at the world and want to take it out and take it back out on whatever, you know. So I feel like it really falls into like those two main categories.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have an opinion, or do you think it's kind of a case by case thing on that? Or
I feel like it's a case by case thing.
Yeah.
But also I do think that like I think it's both. I think it's both for most, because a lot of it ends up falling on untreated or undiagnosed mental illnesses.
Okay.
And then on top of that, having shitty childhoods and being abused and being, you know, whatever, treated like shit as a kid. And then, you know, that's what life is to these people is, you know, like a lot of cases that I see where it ends up being like a guy who, you know, is murdering women specifically. I feel like most backstories end up being like, you know, they have like bipolar, they have whatever, all of these. And then on top of it, it was like their mothers specifically abused them or, you know, like sexually assaulted them when they were kids. And it's like they just have this pent up rage against women themselves. Or
they cater their murders towards something that, you know, hurt them in the past.
Yeah, and it's like they think that they're taking out that anger towards, like, in this example, mothers, you know, on these other innocent people, these other innocent women, because, I don't know, it's just what gets their anger out.
Yeah, no,
know?
and I've also heard just like some people's, you know, especially like mass murderers are like, they think they're doing a favor for like humanity because we're so like cruel and evil, and they think they're like doing a service to
yes,
wipe us out kind of thing.
Yes.
Like they're so disgusted with themselves and everybody that
I don't know, I'm gonna assume you haven't watched it, but I know some listeners out there probably watched the show Dexter.
I have not, but I do know people that have.
Yeah, so I got into watching that for a while. Okay. I didn't finish it because it got kind of repetitive, but
Gotcha.
Pretty much the main character is a serial killer, and he is in forensics. He works in the police department in like DNA analysis or something. I don't remember exactly what. I think that's what it was, but I don't know for sure. And anytime he can find like one of these killers that they're like investigating a case on or whatever, he will find them first and kill them.
Huh. So he's a serial killer CIA guy, but
he kills serial killers.
Yeah. Okay. Huh.
Yeah. And maybe not even just serial killers. I think in the show there's other people that like, you know, just like shitty, terrible people.
So he kills
that,
people that he deems worthy of death.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
so he's the judge himself.
Yeah. So he thinks that he's doing the world a favor by ridding the world of these
evil.
These shitty people.
Okay. Huh.
So I feel like that's also like a common, you know, type of killer that's out there. I actually had like listed down all of the like different like subcategories of killers, just because I was written to it. But sorry if you hear my notes rustling in the background. But yeah, so that one is known as mission oriented, and that's like the people that try and like, you know, think that they're helping society, whatever. And then the other one that I had was visionary, and it's people who believe that a person or an entity is commanding them to do the deeds that they're doing. So that pretty much falls into psychosis, mental illness, you know, any type of whatever, where they're, you know, even like schizophrenia or whatever, and they think that they're, you know, or God or whatever is telling them to do these horrible things. And, you know, what else do we have here? Oh, just like the act of like power and control, just like people who feel like they've lacked that in their life. I feel like that kind of falls into like being abused and stuff in a childhood, then they like haven't had any of that control or power in their lives. So now they're like, I need to take that back. I need to take my life back.
Show
and
how strong they are, or like
whatever.
stand up for themselves, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. And take advantage of people who are vulnerable, and I feel like that's probably like a most common one. Like I think of like Ted Bundy is one of like the most common names that you hear where it falls into that, because his was a total power trip where he just took advantage of younger girls, college girls and stuff, and would totally try and like, he was supposed to be like this charming guy, and he was like supposedly like really handsome, and it was just like easily like spoke to them easily, and would, I don't know, trying to think of words to describe it, but pretty much he would like go up and like be charming, and they'd fall for it and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go home with this guy, whatever, and he'd just do his thing, and
That's
whatever.
So he would murder, and
he was pretty brutal. He would rape them, he would murder them, and yeah,
that's rough. So yeah, definitely a total power trip, just kind of taking advantage, and that's that is rough.
I know this was originally the one that I was gonna kind of like wrap this around, is Jeffrey Dahmer, just because I've done reports on him in my forensics class, so I know a lot more with like his background and everything that I've looked into. And I know a lot of people probably know most of this, and that's why I didn't want to like focus this on it, because now that Dahmer show is out, that's so popular.
You did your research before that show.
I did it like 4 or 5 years ago for a report, and now that show's out, and like everybody knows everything about it. So I was like, I don't want to get into that because everybody already knows this shit.
Right. Yeah.
But excuse me.
That's okay.
But so like his whole thing was, he was gay, and he would go to these like gay clubs, and he would, also just like charm these men and bring them home. And his thing was, he wanted like a sex slave, pretty much. He would like, essentially he was trying to create like a robot, and he would drill holes into these people's skulls, and he would pour like different type of acids and stuff, and try and literally make them brain dead, but where their body was still functioning. And obviously he killed all of those people. But I feel like that probably falls into that like power category as well.
It could be.
But I don't remember, hold on, let me look up real quick, like his exact like diagnosis that he had, because I know at the trial they deemed him like clinically sane. But he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and schizophrenia disorder. Schizophrenic personality disorder? I'm assuming that's just because of schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I can't talk over that one. But so on top of those, like his upbringing was awful. His father was abusive. His mother was an alcoholic, and she did drugs and drank while she was pregnant with him, so that already caused like, some brain damage before he was born. His father was a taxidermist, so he was always around things like that, and that was what they say like sparked his interest in like, he always wanted to, or would say like he wanted to see what the inside of things looked like.
Gotcha.
And he like would go in his dad's like shed, and he would like pick up roadkill and like cut it open and look into it, and he would always like have different jars again of different like acids and whatever, and like put it in there and just like watch how it decomposes and how all these things happen. And then that interest expanded to humans, unfortunately. But so I feel like that kind of goes into that like upbringing as well, being around all of that, and
Yeah, that's so weird. And I feel like too, just a side note is like you get people that it's so like case by case, person to person kind of thing, because then you hear of like terrible, awful upbringings that like people were so traumatized or had to go through such rough pasts that are like the sweetest people you could ever know. Like they learned a completely different route, or become like super successful due to the struggle.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Like it's so interesting how that's just another example of how we're all so unique and we all offer so many different things in this world, is because we all can go through the same thing or similar things and just take it a whole different way. It just depends on, like, that's where our uniqueness comes into play, and our individual skill sets and in our individual minds. Like I feel like each and every one of us are special in our own way, because you can take in this external world, environment, and everybody perceives it and takes it in differently and then acts so different with that information given. Like, it's just,
I also feel like it kind of, like, I feel like most of these big serial killer cases are from, like, 90s, like 70s, 80s, 90s, like,
yeah.
And a lot, I feel like during that time, people weren't as mindful of mental illness and like therapy and stuff like that. And it's much less like, I feel like when people would say that they were like mentally ill or like had something or whatever, or they were in therapy, everybody just automatically was like, oh, what's wrong with them? Something's wrong with them.
Labeled them as messed up or something.
And nowadays it's just so much more accepted and common and normal.
Yeah.
Like really, I feel like everybody's got some form of something, honestly. But
yeah, I feel like before, like, phones and the internet and stuff, like it probably was just as common back then, like in the 1800s, early 1900s, and even further back. I bet, like, these crazy serial killers were probably just as as common, but you just didn't hear about it because news couldn't travel like it does, and you didn't hear stories because you can't really spread the word, and it was a lot easier to keep things hidden back then without the connection that we have nowadays. And then next thing you know, like 80s, 90s, early 2000s, now all of a sudden you got all this internet and like connectivity with the phones and stuff, and now all of a sudden all this stuff starts coming out, and I feel like the serial killer kind of thing's slowly tailing off now. Would you think?
I feel like yes, but like,
because now I feel like they're kind of being shown, like, or brought into the light, because now it's like with the internet and stuff, like early 2000s, 90s kind of thing, where it's just like, holy shit, and look at these guys getting caught now.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can't really.
There's cases like from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s that are being solved today.
Yeah.
Because of all of the, technology that we have in so many different ways, whether that's just people like seeing faces on the internet and being able to recognize somebody or recognize a sketch of a suspect and be like, oh my God, I know that person that looks so much like whoever.
Yeah.
Being able to have like tip lines for us to call or to email or whatever,
Like
anonymous.
anonymously. Yeah.
Being able to send that in, and I feel like that's a huge thing.
Yep.
And also just like, our advancements in DNA,
Yeah, that's true too.
testing and everything and whatever. But yeah, I keep seeing updates constantly about different cases that are being solved from forever. I just saw something, and I don't know this for sure because I actually surprisingly didn't read the article as much as I wanted to. But I saw something the other day that they have potentially found out who the Zodiac killer is.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember like years ago you were telling me about that.
Well, yeah, because I remember like I told you about that, and then not like super long after I first told you, you sent me an article that they were like deciphering the letters from. Well, I don't remember if that was Jack the Ripper or if it was the Zodiac killer, but one of them, no, because the Zodiac killer had like the weird letters and stuff, but and they were like trying to decipher those, and it was like, I don't know, kind of a hoax, the thing that they saw. It was like, oh, just kidding. Like these college kids at this whatever, university were like working on it, but hadn't gotten far.
Yep.
And now I just saw something pop up the other day, and they were like, Zodiac killer identified. And I was like, wait, shit. Like, I didn't read the article, surprisingly, but I should look that up.
Yeah, definitely.
But
yeah, so you got any specific ones you want to dive into right now other than Jeffrey Dahmer?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have so many that like.
What's one that like? So give me like, it's hard to say like whether they're all horrible events, so it's tough to use the word like your favorite. But like,
I know, like what intrigues me.
What's the most
or,
interesting one? And then like, what's the most interesting one that that like really you just like are fascinated with? And then give me one that like ultra frustrates you because you have no idea.
Okay, fuck. I have some good ones now because I definitely have the ultra frustrating. Okay. So one, I will say for those of you who listened to my first episode that I did when I talked about dial-up pass, that one is definitely an ultra frustrating one because I feel like I go through so many different, ideas with that one. There is, I feel like my one that like intrigues me the most. And like it also kind of frustrates me too. It's just Jack the Ripper. I feel like that's such a well-known one, but also it's like he never got identified, and that was from like the 1800s, and there's so many little like details that are like I don't remember. I want to say it was 5 victims that he had, but I don't actually know off the top of my head. And like they got a little more brutal each time he did it. Like he was almost like testing the waters to see what he was capable of. But everybody thinks that he was in some sort of like medical field or something because of how clean like his cuts were and like how intricate everything was. Because he would take out specific body parts without even nicking another one. Wow. Without even like the slightest bit. Everything was so clean.
Maybe he was like a surgeon.
Yeah, and he would do it. So this was, again, like 1800s. All they had was like little lanterns outside of bars and shit. Yeah. So like everybody's like, how did he do that? And most of the bodies were found in alleyways and in dark places. So everybody's like, all he could have had on him was like a little fucking like lantern.
Yeah.
And so like, how did he do that in such a short period of time, so quickly, so neatly, and in the dark?
Yeah.
Because half the time they would find the bodies while they were still warm.
Oh, wow.
Before the bodies were, going into like rigor mortis. And like, so they were like, he had to have done this like 15 minutes ago before they found this body. It's like, how did he do this? How did he leave like no evidence in the dark, get out of there? Like, I don't know. This one just blows my mind. Like, there's so much, and like, again, going into like what the profession could be, and like a lot of people thought like a surgeon or something, but they like went through like people in the area and stuff, and they couldn't find anything on anybody, and then they potentially looked into like a butcher or an autopsy technician or somebody that knows the bodies and knows, there's a lot of different things that it could end up being, but that one definitely is
that's
one of my most intriguing ones.
Yeah.
This one I haven't done, like, I've listened to quite a few podcast episodes about it, but not for a little while, so my details might be a little rusty.
Okay.
But it was this girl, and I don't remember where it was at, but it was at an apartment building. Phoebe Hanschek was her name, and she was found dead in a garbage like disposal area in the apartment building. So there was a garbage chute, and she had went down the garbage chute, and she was like in front of the door to get in. So there was a maintenance worker there, and they couldn't get the door open when they were trying to go like clean out the garbage room or do whatever in there because her body was in the way. And then they went and whatever and got the police, went through, and they had determined that the only way she would have been in front of the door like that was from going down the chute. And they brought in even some of the girl's friends because the friends volunteered to help do like experiments to see if they could figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah.
And so they were like, a lot of people, so she had depression, she was taking medication for it. And a lot of people were like, maybe she was suicidal. Of course, that's the first thing people went to because she was on meds.
Yep. Especially back then, how long ago was?
I want to say this one was like early 2000s. I don't remember exactly.
Okay. Well, maybe not.
Let me look up like the details on that while I'm telling it. But so a lot of her friends they like volunteered to do these experiments with the police while they were there, trying to see if it was possible for her to like climb up into this garbage chute, because I guess it was like almost at like face level. So it was pretty high up off the ground. They said nothing to like latch your fingers onto, and like no shelving or anything around the thing. So there was no way for her to like grab to pull herself up to get into it. They were like, the friends were like, after a long struggle of doing it, were able to do it feet first, I believe it was. They were able to like swing their legs up and get up there if they had like a stool or something. But the way that Phoebe had gone down the chute was head first, and they were able to determine that because there was like a cruncher thing that like went down in the bottom like half of the chute, and her ankle or like her foot was almost severed off because that thing had crunched down right over one of her feet. And the way it was like, you know, pretty much like almost off, they were able to say that it was because of going down rather than, or going down face first rather than feet first. Let me see when this was. It was in 2010. And it was in Australia. But she also had this like super sketchy boyfriend at the time that everybody pretty much assumes that he did this to her. And I don't remember exactly like what all it was, but they did interviews with him, and then they took him off the suspect list and whatever, and he ended up going free. And then ironically, a few years later, one of his other girlfriends ended up being found dead.
Oh my goodness.
Again.
Okay, so it's
and he's
him.
Still not in jail. He's still not been charged with anything. And his other girlfriend's death was also dubbed an accident, or classified as an accidental death on the autopsy reports.
Goodness.
And same with Phoebe's. It was classified as, actually I don't remember if hers was classified as accidental or a suicide. But yeah, pretty much everybody who does true crime or like listens to true crime, follows true crime, believes that he did it. And you know,
I'd say so.
And they also had found like her blood in the house or in their apartment building, and everybody's like, oh, well, what if she like cut her finger cooking or whatever, like it was only a few drops, and everybody was like, no. So that one is one that like frustrates me. Cause
do we know anything about the other girlfriend?
I don't know anything. I just heard at like the end of the podcast that they had that he had another girlfriend that had been found dead. Yeah,
that's weird. No, I was just curious.
Yeah, they had like, because I haven't looked this one up in a while, so I was wondering if anything new had come up with it. She was 24 years old. Let's see.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I know, that's awful. So young, so much life to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says 11 years later, death still remains a mystery as of 2022. Yeah. So that one's crazy.
Jeez, yeah. Could you imagine being the friends too? Like that.
I know.
The friends or the parents just like not even knowing how, like just knowing that your daughter or your friend died, but you don't even know how. Or
like not even like being able to serve justice for her.
Yeah.
Like something happened to her that, you know, I believe that there was foul play involved, and you know,
that's horrible. Because like just trying to cope with that, like as a parent or a friend, like how do you find closure in that? Like
you don't.
Yeah.
You're supposed to just keep living your life. Like how do you go to sleep at night is what I always think about. I'm like, these people, like, God, they probably don't sleep, and it's just at a point where like they just, their bodies shut down, and then they wake up to a nightmare again.
They're just numb going through life. And like how do you function like when you're so close to something so terrible like that? And you know, go to work each day in our society I was
listening to another episode on another podcast for one of these, and and they were talking about another case, and the parents quit their jobs, and I don't remember what they had done before, and they went to like police academy and they became officers so that they could be there, like they could work on her case, on their daughter's case. And it's her case is still unsolved, unfortunately, and she's still a missing person.
Yeah.
Her body was never found. But yeah, I was like, God, so much credit to those parents to one, just keep pushing on their daily lives, and two, to put that much fucking effort in and just go for it, and having hope after that too, and not just like falling into this pit of misery.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there's waves though. I'm sure there's times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, just, the ebb and flow of life and in emotions.
Mm-hmm.
we all go through those, but that's terrible. I do want to just kind of go back to the Zodiac killer too.
Yeah.
What's up with that? You want to like go? I know it's been a while since I, looked into that, but like, what did that person thing do, and what's up with like all the coding and stuff, the messages, and you want to run us through this case?
Yes. So I think the Zodiac killer, like just my personal opinion, I feel like the Zodiac killer was like influenced by Jack the Ripper and like wanted to like, I mean, these people create these names for themselves. I feel like a lot of serial killers are so like narcissistic, and they're like, oh yeah, like, here's this name that you're gonna like, or so like sign letters by, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just
did
bullshit.
Jack the Ripper leave messages behind too? Or?
Yeah, so he left notes, and
called himself that?
Yes, okay. He dubbed himself Jack the Ripper. And a lot of people actually for Jack the Ripper think that, because they released a lot to the news and people knew like what was going on. A lot of people think that just others were sending these notes into like the police stations as like a joke, pretty much, and like trying to fuck with them, just because there's shitty people out there that will throw off investigations just because they're bored.
Yeah.
But there are a few letters that people think are real, and other letters that people think are fake. There was one where, I don't know if I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it was a heart that was like a human heart that was sent in a box to the police station with a note attached to it, signed Jack the Ripper. Huh. And so people obviously think that one is real.
Yeah.
Because they were like, nobody's just going to have a human heart laying around and whatever.
Yep.
But for like the Zodiac killer, I feel like he kind of like looked up to Jack the Ripper and wanted to like go off of some of that.
So did the Zodiac killer also just like mutilate bodies and cut them up like that? And
and Jack the Ripper was in London, and that was in the 1800s. Zodiac killer was 1900s in San Francisco.
Okay.
So the American version of it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, his letters were in like a weird, like almost hieroglyphic type thing. And so they were never, people were never able to figure out what the hell
like
is.
Decode it.
Yeah, nobody knows.
So what was it, like a different language, or was it just like made up symbols, or?
I don't know. I think it's made up shit that he did, because it's literally just here. I have a picture right here that I can show you.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Like, it's literally just weird ass symbols.
Huh. So it's like basically what it looks like is like a word search with random symbols that.
Yeah. They're like perfectly like horizontal and vertical, like lines there, like going down, and it's just like some of them look like letters written backwards. Like there's one that looks like a P, but it's backwards.
But this person called themselves the Zodiac killer, right?
I believe so, but I don't actually know 100%.
Okay. Yeah, because maybe if they did, that it might have something to do with like astrology. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting that you said that because I've actually never thought about that.
I don't know. I just pulling stuff out of my ass right now.
No, that's kind of interesting. I never thought about that actually, because I feel like it could go with like the zodiac symbols, the signs for like our zodiac signs.
So how many like incidences were there? How many murders were there with the Zodiac killer? Do you know?
Nobody actually knows because we aren't able to actually tie any specific. That's why, like with Jack the Ripper, it's also like we think he was 5 of them, or well, I think there was like 4 of them that were definite, and then there was like a few other ones that were like that could have been him because it was a similar style when they murdered him, but like or when those people were like found dead, but not like there was little things that were off or like whatever that.
So weird.
But on here it's saying 37 victims that the Zodiac.
Oh, geez.
So it
Is that like the largest kill count?
No, far from.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
there
God.
are some killers that claim to have taken like 400 victims.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, a lot of them are bullshitters and like they get again like narcissistic and egotistical.
Try
they're
to
like,
get the high
they're
numbers.
like, oh yeah, like I've killed this many people. Like I know you found like these bodies and like these ones are connected to me, but also, and then they just like are bullshit and they're like
claim everything.
Yeah, they claim everything. And
it was all
like,
me.
Yeah, and they're like, and I don't remember their names. I don't remember where they're buried. I don't remember any of this stuff, but it was me. And it's like, was it?
Yeah.
So
do they just like come out as themselves and like, or if they get caught, then they say, "Oh, I did all of it."
Yes.
Just for like the fame.
Because once they get caught, they're like, "Fuck, the jig is up," and they're usually like, "I'll show you where the bodies are. Like, I'll show you this. I'll own up to everything," and they will just let it all fucking loose.
Yeah, and before they go to prison too, they probably want to seem like a badass, so they start claiming everything.
Yes, unless it is child victims.
Okay.
Because they do not do well in prison.
Yeah.
They will fuck their shit up.
As they should.
Yeah, so I feel like, and again, I'm listening to I actually haven't gotten much into this or done much research, but I'm listening to an episode right now, like during my drive to work, on the Hillside Stranglers, and I'm not too far into it, so don't ask me the details on it.
Okay.
But
what are the details? Because I don't know. But can you give us a general sense on what that is? Because I've never heard of that.
I am still in an episode talking about their backstories. I'm on like part 1 episode of like a deep dive.
What
into
is
them.
it? Multiple people then, or
so it's 2. I think it's 2 cousins that it said.
okay. Have they been caught?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
One is dead as of today. The other is in jail.
Gotcha.
And so these guys they owned up to like most of their victims and like bragged about it. They were totally like, oh yeah, like I did this terrible thing to this girl and like blah, blah, blah. And we're just like totally like all about it.
Yeah.
But one of the cousins was a suspect in 3 other murders. And the girls were like 8 years old. It was like kids, like babies. Yeah. And they had him as a suspect and they found him not guilty, but they just didn't have any evidence to prove. Yeah. So, he is dead now, but they were like, we'll never know on that because he never said anything. And they were like, he might have just not said anything because he was already in or going to prison and he probably didn't want to get his ass kicked. Yeah. So, because those murders are all still unsolved to this day, those 3 girls. So they were thinking that he could have potentially done it because he was in the area at the time of their murders, and he was disgustingly an ice cream man driver at the time. So they think that since he had that connection to being around children, that he could have done it because most of his victims, for like them being known as the Hillside Stranglers, are like 13-year-old girls and like like middle school kids. And
oh my God, I can't even imagine. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's so fucked up. Like I don't know how people can fucking, I don't know. It's so messed up.
Do you just lose all faith in humanity when you're listening to this?
Yeah, quite a bit of times. I mean, like I will literally be listening to this shit on my way to work and like I will talk to myself and just like jaw drop at some of these details and be like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. I just like I don't know. It just baffles me sometimes. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like a big reason why I like to listen to a lot of these too is I feel like it's important to like for their stories to still be heard and people to know about it and be educated. And I was literally just talking to Doug about this the other day, and I was like, you know, at the end of these episodes that they talk about specific cases, they're always like, well, here's the tip hotline for like anonymous tip hotline for an unsolved case. Like if you have any information or know anything or potentially could know some whatever, call whatever. Here's like, you know, Facebook pages like to just like remember these people, and like anytime they talk about like a Facebook page or something or a donation center, like I am on that shit. I follow so many of these pages for these past people, like these missing people, and anytime I can I donate to them and you know to try and you know find information on whatever. But I just think it's really important to keep their stories, you know, alive.
Definitely. And just know that what's possible too. And as far as like a personal safety kind of thing, it keeps that in your mind of, you know, just things that could happen to you, and just being aware, you know, from a personal safety perspective, just knowing like what disgusting humans are capable of, and just to be cautious, you know?
Yeah.
Like in your own life.
Yeah. I'm kind of going back a little step because I was also looking up what the most murder victims were for one person. And I was just listening to an episode, again, this is why I said the 400, on another known serial killer. He goes by BTK. Okay. But he's one that claimed that he had like 400 victims and blah, blah, blah. But the most known is Dr. Harold Shipman with 218 probable murders, possibly as many as 250.
Wow.
But that's insane.
Jeez, and is that just like people that died while he was a doctor, or just kidding?
I don't actually know this one. I'm surprised that I haven't looked into this, but I don't really know.
More podcasts to listen to.
More podcasts. Always more podcasts.
Yes.
I'm wondering if he goes by like a different name, because a lot of them will go by weird fucking names.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think like being like surrounding yourself with this kind of information, or just like listening to this stuff, affects like how you react to people in your life? Like grocery shopping or just strangers?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I'll go to the grocery store and literally I think all day long, I'm like, how many serial killers am I going to walk past in my life?
Yeah.
You know, because they say like, I don't even remember what it was, but on average, every human walks past like 3 serial killers in their lifetime or something. And I'm like, that fucking blows my mind. Like it could just be some random person that I have a conversation with, even potentially, like being at the grocery store and I'm like, oh, excuse me, like whatever, just little interactions.
Yep. Or then, soon to be, like you don't know what's happening like in their lives and their thinking, and like maybe you could
They're
just
at the grocery store buying the garbage bags and duct tape now.
Oh my God. Yeah. Or just knowing like, or not knowing what's going on in their head, and then next thing you know, like you walk past somebody, say hi to a short, quick exchange, and like 2 years from that moment, they end up killing somebody, or so, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder that like all the time when I see, so I follow like the police scanner, like Facebook pages and stuff, and I always see everything that goes on in our area.
Yeah.
Every time I always click on them, and I always look at the photos of the people if they have it up, because I'm always like, have I seen them before?
Yeah.
And it's always a thought that I have. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, exactly. It's so weird.
But yeah, I mean, like anytime I interact with somebody who's odd, I'm like, are they gonna kill me?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, anytime I like listen to this stuff or like get into this kind of stuff, I always just like get on edge and like ultra defensive.
Yes. Oh my God. I don't get in my car anymore without looking in my back seat.
Oh yeah.
Never.
Check
I've
under
never
your car
done that.
too.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't do that one, but I should, because
that's a big thing too.
Yeah.
Just like,
I don't want my heels sliced open.
Yeah, exactly. That's just doing ultra cringe face right now. Yeah, because that's a thing, and I know Katie was talking about actually to me about some cases where that, like, I don't know if she knows somebody or I can't remember. She was telling me, but basically, like, yeah, they would hide underneath your vehicle. You go unlock your car, open up the door, and they get your ankle.
Yeah. Literally, like, slit your, what is it? The Achilles?
Your Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Heck no. Yeah. No, I do
And
that.
then you can't run.
And, like, sometimes I'll, like, pass people, because a lot of times killers will, like, get their victims because of, like, they'll pretend to be broken down.
Oh, yeah.
On the street or whatever. And every fucking time I see somebody broken down, I'm like, God, I want to help them. But, you know.
That's the thing, too, is, like, these fucked people are just, like, they're just, like, ruining everything. Because now you're just, like, for my own safety, I'm sorry, sir, but I can't help you.
Yeah, and I feel like such a dickhead because I really want to help these people. I do. But in my mind, I'm like, God, like, I feel like, I don't know.
I don't want to get murdered.
I don't want to get murdered, but, like, fuck, I feel like it's just, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do. I would.
Yeah. It depends. You got to make sure that you're secure. Like, if you're like with me and JJ and Doug or something like that, and like we're all just kind of like, okay, we can stop. And then if it's only like one person or something like that, then maybe, I don't know. But like, it depends on the situation. If you're like alone at night and you're on your way home and you see somebody that needs help, then hood up, just keep walking.
Yeah, seriously. I have stopped once for somebody on the side of the road before ever in my life, and it was daytime and a shit ton of people were around, and I was like, oh God.
yeah. That's another thing too, is public spaces. Like, you make sure there's a lot of people that are around and can see. That
even if I ever get pulled over, I've only gotten pulled over once in my life, and like, if I ever do that and I'm not in a public area, I will drive until I'm in a gas station or, you know, anywhere, because there's also a shit ton of cases where they pretend to be police officers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They'll pretend to be police officers and then pull you over and like follow you until you're in a fucking off the beaten path road in the middle of bumblefuck nowhere.
Yeah, and then pull you
over when nobody's around and fucking snatch you. You know?
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, it's so fucked up, but, you know, I've lost a lot of faith in humanity, and, you know, I think about these things daily. Like, every time I, like, see, one of those cop cars that are, like, unlabeled, the people that, like, bought, like, the old
the
cars.
Undercover.
Yeah, or that, too, and I'm like, you're suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you can buy, like, the old police interceptors that decommission stuff,
Even just, like, sometimes I'll, like, get nervous going for a walk at like the local like forest preserve or something with my dog. I was just telling my boyfriend, I was just telling Doug that I wanted to get a bigger dog, so that because we got a little dachshund, a little yappy boy, and I love him, but I want something bigger that can be like more protective, so that I can take him on a walk and feel safer going out. Like, I don't even feel comfortable going for a walk in the middle of the daytime in a fucking forest preserve, like, you know. It's awful. I see somebody walk past me when I'm doing, like, those walks, and I'm like, are you going to jump out at me with a knife right now? Like,
oh, my God.
It's awful.
Yeah. So I got two stories that are fucked. But basically, so, what was it? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy. Do you know his name?
Fuck, I don't know. I haven't watched that movie.
I think it's Ed Gein. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Is that who that's based off of?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Any chance you could search that for me quick? Just to make
totally.
Sure, I'm pretty sure that's his name.
Yeah, Ed Gein is a serial killer, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's who it was. I know it was a Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy, and I'm pretty sure that was his name. And, but anyways, we had, so, kind of a connection, you know, person to person kind of connection. Brandon Greer, we had him on the podcast. His sisters, so we talked about his sister having a different dad, and his sister's dad's hunting buddy was Ed Gein.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, like the hunting buddy. They like, we're in the woods.
Wait, who was that? I was spacing out because I was reading.
Brandon's sister's dad
went
hunting with Ed Gein.
Okay, so I looked it up. Ed Gein, okay, so clearly you know that name because you're saying it right now, and Ed Gein is a known serial killer. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre was Leatherface, based off of Gunnar Hansen.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it could have been.
Okay. Well, who
Could have been that. Could have
was
been.
Ed Gein had a different code name or something? Because I'm.
No, I don't. Let me see. The Butcher of Plainfield is what.
Yeah,
Ed
I know it was a
Gein known as.
Wisconsin thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plainfield, Wisconsin. Yep. Okay. Well, that's it.
Yeah. Yep. Ed Gein was Wisconsin.
Yeah, but he was like fucked. I guess he would like freaking cut up people. I know.
Yeah.
Like, Brandon was telling me I should have had him talk about this when I had him on last. But
Get him
like,
on for another one, because that
Yeah.
would be. I would love to listen to that.
Yeah, I guess I guess that guy like freaking like I guess he targeted women and he would like literally like make like furniture and like accessories out of their body parts. Like he would make like lampshades out of skin, and like he would make like he would like cut off. This is gonna be super graphic, but he like
Yeah.
one of the examples he told me was that I guess the guy would like cut women's nipples
Yep.
and make belts out of them and stuff like that. And I guess they caught him because he had a body hanging in a tree in his front yard, and like people, neighbors thought it was a Halloween decoration for the longest time, but turns out it wasn't.
So yeah, I was looking this up, and I just like right at the end of what you were saying there, I was just like, looking over this, and
Yeah.
it says, oh, I'm totally gonna butcher this. Sorry, Wisconsin people, if you're listening. Owatshara County Sheriff deputy discovered Warden's decapitated body in a shed on Gein's property, hung upside down by her legs with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes at her wrists. The torso was, quote, dressed out like a deer. She had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and the mutilations were made after her death.
Jeez. Yeah, that's messed
So they were,
up.
they found her, pretty much.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Yeah, that's so fucked up.
Okay, so that's the most fucked story that I got. But the second most fucked story, nothing happened, but it was just like a weird, like,
yeah, that's weird, the
eerie-
connection.
Yeah, but this one is like a eerie thing where it's like, that's messed up. Because I was on a pool league for the longest time, and some of the listeners might know exactly this story.
Yeah.
But I was on a pool team over the winter, and something weird happened because one of our teammates was late to one of the matches because her phone was like went missing, and I can't remember how it went missing or where it went missing. But her phone went missing. They had the Find My iPhone thing.
Okay.
And they tracked it, and it was in a forest preserve that she'd never been to. They found it.
Ew.
And she went by herself too.
Oh,
which was
fuck,
like
no.
fucked. I was like, oh hell no. Like,
No, that's stupid.
yeah, it was dumb. She went.
Sorry
and
if she's listening.
yeah, that's what
Don't do
that's
that
what I was thinking.
again.
I don't know if she's listening or not, but yeah, I guess she found it in a nature preserve and went by herself and got it.
That's wild.
Yeah, I was like, oh hell no, I would have never
No.
like as soon as you track
I'd be like,
that
you
thing-
could have
yeah,
it.
Yeah, you could have it, or make sure you take a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah, people and weapons.
Yeah, literally. I was just like, that's freaking scary. Like she told us all on the team that night that she just got her phone. Sorry, she's late. She just got her phone from the nature preserve
Oh my god.
and that she wasn't at.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah, freaking weird. I was like, that's definitely a lure to the max.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
But yeah, those are my.
Let me pause it, sorry.
All right, guys. Sorry, we had to take a quick bathroom break and drink refill break.
Sorry, I was dying. I just really needed a minute.
So I am now switched back over to I got like 3 Bud Lights in my refrigerator left, and I'm trying to change things up and, expand and grow with my palate. So, but I don't want to get rid of these things because actually you bought these.
Oh yeah, I did. Those were the ones from last time.
But yep, that's what I'm drinking now. And what do you got?
I grabbed the Simply Lemonade strawberry.
Nice. Yeah, I that's what I was drinking the Simply Lemonades on Dad's episode, and I'm like, yeah, this is probably the last thing I should be drinking with my dad, but whatever, they're good.
Yeah, he's probably like, this guy's a
He's like,
pussy.
I am so fucking ashamed of my son.
Okay, before we get too crazy off topic, I had another
That was
story.
a joke, by the way, sorry.
Yeah. But I had another story that I wanted to say, since we were like talking about like kind of personal experiences. This is not my personal experience, but my best friend Jessie, who I know is listening.
Oh, cool. I didn't know she listened.
Yeah, she listens.
I'll have her on the podcast.
Yeah,
Very cool.
definitely. Oh my God, yeah, she would love that. So she told me one time about John Wayne Gacy was in Kenosha area.
Okay.
And this is not confirmed, but her dad thinks that he interacted with him because her dad was the time that Gacy was doing his killing spree.
So Jesse's dad
Thinks
he interacted. Okay.
he was like, I don't even remember how old she said, but he was a kid, maybe like
Oh, okay.
maybe 10.
So
I
this
don't
is
know.
a long time ago.
Long time ago. So Gacy killed little boys,
Okay.
unfortunately. But so he would like dress up as a clown and he would do like parties and whatever.
fucked.
And it was really fucked up. Yeah. And he ended up in the end, it was like 30 or
God.
so children that were found dead in his basement. But super, super fucked up.
So he literally kept all the bodies.
He kept all of the bodies in his basement. Also, he was married with children and they didn't know
Oh,
that the bodies
my
were in his basement and their basement. Yeah. Because he like hid them in the cement and like it's really fucked up. But so Kenosha, Wisconsin, so not too far from us.
Yep.
He grew up there and he was just a little kid and he would always walk to and from school or his mom would pick him up and nothing else. There was no other, like if his mom couldn't pick him up, she was sassy German lady and she
Yeah.
was like, you can fucking walk.
You're walking.
And
Uphill both ways in the snow.
yeah, pretty much.
Middle of the summer in the snow. I'm just pouring sweat. It was like 90 degrees and I'm freezing my ass off because it's downpouring snow.
Yeah, and there was fucking 5 feet of snow. I couldn't even breathe. I was underwater.
Yeah. The Germans were shooting at me.
The British were coming. Oh my God. But so anyways, like pretty much just a long story short, he was trying to walk home from school and some creepy man pulled up and was like, your mom sent me to come pick you up. Like you get in the van. Like your mom, I'm driving you home pretty much. And her dad was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Right away.
Oh God.
He was like, nah, man. He was like, my mom wouldn't do that. And like, he was smarter than that. And
Yeah. Good.
so yeah, he just was like, fuck off, man. Like my mom would have made me walk or shoot,
Yeah.
and
That's
pick me up
fucked.
herself. And yeah, so he scurried off and the car drove off and never to be
Wow.
seen again. So
Yeah. Even if that's not like confirmed to be him, that's still fucked because that could have been
Anybody, yeah, that could have been, yeah.
either. Yeah, that's so messed up.
Yeah.
That could even be like a mass murder that we never even heard of that just like got away.
yeah, somebody that, a bunch of unidentified
yeah.
or, unsolved cases that could have all connected to like one.
Yeah, that is so fucked up.
Isn't
and
it?
that's why it's so important to teach your children young. It's it's tough because you don't want to like take away their innocence, but you got to be real about the kind of world that we live in and
Yeah.
make sure your child's safety is more important than taking away what could be considered their innocence, cuz luckily like our parents were very good about that.
Yes.
They always made sure like basically from the time we could walk around that we could recite our address. They always said to look for a police officer and be able to recite our address.
Yeah, we knew that. We memorized mom and dad's phone number.
Yep. Yeah,
and
we had to know the phone number.
And when dad, if you guys listened to the episode, when he had his dirt bike shop, when we had the shop number memorized.
Yep. Yeah.
I still have that number memorized.
Me too.
Yep.
Yeah, I have that. I have our home phone, our old home.
I don't remember the landline number.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I
I got
remember the
that
shop one still for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I got both of those memorized, and then mom and dad's number.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, no, that was just like ingrained in our brain, and just to know those numbers and know who to look for and know to stay away from strangers and don't trust anybody that we don't know personally.
Yeah,
you know?
because so many times I hear stories about these people who
Pretending to be your parents' friends.
yeah, that, and also everybody's like, oh, they were so charming, they were so nice,
Yeah.
I didn't think anything about it,
Right.
like, and then this happened,
Yep.
and it's like, anybody can hide who they truly are
Right.
just behind a smile, and
Exactly. No, I'd much rather have my children's innocence and view of the world be a little skewed and messed up because they're scared than have them not exist anymore because they were captured.
Yeah. I mean, even like, it's again terrible that.
Sorry, I'll leave that in because you're in the middle. Bailey.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
The dog squeaking a toy back there.
Bailey. Oh my goodness.
But I'm a hairstylist, and I worked out in Chicago for a while, and the salon would close up at like 9 p.m. some nights, and I would have to walk sometimes like 5 blocks to my car because I'm a cheap ass and I wanted to find the free parking. I didn't want to pay $30 a day to go to work.
Yeah, it's insane.
And so I would
first freaking two and a half hours are
seriously
free labor because you already spent the money.
for parking and then gas. But so yeah, walking in my car sometimes like 5 blocks was a long time, or a long walk, and 9:30 p.m. in Chicago, and I would walk with my fucking keys between my fingers, or I would literally put my knife or my mace in my hand and like roll my sleeve down over my hand and have it when I was walking to my car. I would always check under my car when I was working in Chicago because I always got so scared out there. You never know what kind of people are in such a populated area. So
yeah, just like in if you've seen Zombieland, the second one sucks, but the first one's good. And check the back seats.
I like the second one.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Really?
I think it was too all over the place. Nothing specific. I think it was just like the first one was good because the second one they just like slapped stupid humor in there, where the first one was like more serious with
that subtle, like almost dry humor just sprinkled in.
Right. But the story was good, and there was character development, where like the second one was like there wasn't really development of the character. It was just like stupid. It was like a pointless, like they tried too hard. Kind of thing. I don't know. I didn't really like it. The first one was really good, and I was excited for the second, but yeah, it sucked. I think.
Yeah, whatever.
Sidetracked again.
Yeah. ADHD brains.
Yes. No, but your first episode, definitely go check that one out because that was a good one. What was the case that we covered?
Diet Love Pass.
Yeah, that.
Actually,
yes.
While we're on that, I forgot I was going to say this earlier. So I came to Brody a few days after we had talked about or recorded that episode, and there was just, I think I was just looking up like details on it and, kind of just going back and filtering through everything. And there was like, I can't remember the details now, but it was like, I think it was 2020 that there was another like 8 or 9 hikers that had went up the same passage trying to just like pay tribute to the people who had lost their lives up there. All 9 of them disappeared, or 8, or whoever it was that, I can't remember now if it was 8 or 9, that went up there to pay tribute to the people that passed, and they all disappeared. Not a single body was found.
Wow.
And it was exactly like so many years. It was also in February, and the original one was in February of like 1959, and then, or 56? I don't remember now. And the other one was like in like February, whatever, same day in 2020.
Wow.
Isn't that so weird?
That is freaking weird. Yeah.
So that fucking blew my mind, and I came back to Brody after that, and I was like, you gotta hear this. Like, this is wild. And there's no updates on it. There was nothing that came back from it.
Yeah. And actually, after I re-listened to that episode, and I kept finding, like, hearing myself that I was, like, stressing the, like, you never know what happens in extreme temperatures. But and it's true, but also I was like listening to it as I was like, maybe I should have like talked more about like the position on the planet, and not only that, but like I feel like rather than extreme temperature, I feel like the biggest change for like crazy phenomenon like that would be elevation. Do you know do you know what the elevation was? Because like after you start getting kind of like up in the atmosphere, like some weird shit can start happening.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. I mean, you pretty much go delusional because like lack of oxygen and
That, and then like, you know, whistling of the wind through rocks, and you know, with the lack of oxygen and like the less drag, less friction, and crazy vibrational noises and stuff like that. Freaking making your ears bleed and shit.
Yeah, so the altitude up there, the top altitude says 1,000 to 1,300 meters or 4,300 feet.
Okay. That's not near as high as I thought it was, actually.
I don't know what that means. I don't know elevation.
Wait, how what was the highest that it said?
In meters or feet?
Feet.
4,300.
Oh, yeah, that's not really high at all, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because when we were, like, out in Wyoming and stuff and with the RV out there, I mean, we were pushing, like, if I remember right, like 9,000 feet.
I feel like you're wrong.
Oh, really? Fuck.
Let me look. I feel like it was, like, I don't know. Because I was looking, and I know it's supposed to be, like, one of the higher elevations for me and Mom when we went to Peru and did Machu Picchu, and that elevation is 7,900 feet.
Okay. Well, maybe search, like, elevation of Crazy Horse or something, because that's kind of where we were, or, like...
Okay, it does say that Colorado is the highest, like, state in the Union?
Yes.
And that's at, like, 6,800.
Really? Oh, bless you.
Oh, sorry.
Really? It's only 6,000 feet?
Roughly 3/4 of... Wait, what?
Dang. Wow.
It said an average altitude of 6,800 feet above sea level. Colorado is the highest contiguous state in the Union. Roughly 3/4 of the nation's land above 10,000 feet altitude lies within its borders.
Huh. Dang, I don't know what. Maybe. Fuck, I guess I am.
I don't know. Whatever.
Oops.
It's okay.
Yeah, well, either way, it's still way up there, and...
Yeah.
You know, oxygen gets thin, you start getting out of the atmosphere, you don't know what shit can go down up there.
Yeah, totally. When me and Mom again went to Peru and did Machu Picchu, like our first few days that we got there, I got crazy altitude sickness. I got so sick the first like day.
Oh yeah.
Day and a half that we were there. I was throwing up the whole time. I was like I felt so exhausted.
Yeah.
I just felt like I needed a really long ass nap.
Yeah.
Like, sleep for days.
Also, speaking of that trip, and speaking of, I know this has nothing to do with the topic we wanted to cover, but after you listened to JJ's first episode, we talked a lot about the pyramids, and you want to kind of cover that? Because
Yes, so they were talking about, I don't even remember what exactly you guys were saying. I think you were talking about, like, you thought it was, like, the pyramids or something was aligned with whatever, but, and then you were talking about how, I think you said you thought it was the pyramids, but I think it was actually in Machu Picchu that at least, maybe it could have been both, but
I know there are pyramids, like, all over the world.
Yes, but for, like, how you were talking about, like, the quarry that people were, like, moving these giant rocks and boulders from to build this community, and... Like, today they've done tests where they'll, like, try and roll these rocks on, like, giant logs or, you know, do whatever because they didn't have the technology. They didn't have, like, machinery to move these giant boulders up, like, the mountain. Like, literally, it was the quarry down, like, however many feet and then up onto the top of this mountain to make this community up there. And also when I did a tour of Machu Picchu, and when we went up there, the tour guide had brought like a bubble level up there, and every single structure was 100% level with like the surface. Everything was perfectly 90 degrees. Every rock formation, every building, 90 degrees perfectly angled on every corner. every time there was like a circular like cutout in something, like perfectly even.
Wow.
Like it was incredible. It's crazy how they had such perfection with
Yeah.
such little tools.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think it.
Aliens.
Fucking aliens. How many times do I gotta say it to you people? No, I don't know if it was aliens. I think there was definitely a technology that existed then that we don't have now.
Something.
That we lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely do enjoy good alien theories, but realistically I think that we've lost the technology that we used, and I think my theory kind of behind that is just like vibrational sound waves, like when you play a speaker too loud and the table starts to vibrate and shake, and you see the drinks start like bouncing and sliding, or things moving if you play something from sound waves like moving or vibrating, and it becomes, because it's like bouncing and vibrating on the surface of the table, it just slides easier. So maybe if you used some sort of technology with sound waves that you could move these crazy, insanely heavy things just with pushing them, just because it's vibrating at a certain frequency.
That's a wild theory that I've never heard or thought of.
Yeah, I don't know. Just and that's not something that I came up with. That was just something I heard. But
Oh, I thought you just totally whipped that out of your ass.
No.
It's like, that's impressive.
no, yeah, no. That it's some. I mean,
That's a very interesting theory. I love that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we'll never know, probably.
Yeah.
There's endless possibilities for what could have happened, and
it used to be, they used to be like, well, the Great Pyramids in Giza, they used to be like mirror finish limestone,
yeah,
like perfectly smooth. Now they're all like fucked up over time, but
yeah.
there used to be a limestone casing that were like mirror finish over that and this is another thing, like when I see those pyramids, I always was like, where the fuck is the capstone? Like they're always just like the top part is just cut off. Where's the peak? Where's the point? And then I did a little research, and the capstone was made out of gold. It's gone now, but they used to have
I didn't know that.
I don't know what they did with the capstone, but obviously
in a
being
museum
gold,
or,
they took it, so
whatever.
nobody would steal it. But yeah, it was a golden capstone with limestone mirror finishes on the side. I'm like, and they say it's like a burial site for the pharaohs.
Yes.
That's also got to be bullshit, because every other pharaoh burial ground has hieroglyphics, beautiful artwork, and carvings, and they were buried with all their treasures and stuff because they believed that they could take it with them in the afterlife.
Yes.
And the Great Pyramids, no hieroglyphics, no carvings of any kind. There was never a body of a pharaoh found in any of the Great Pyramids.
Oh, I was gonna say inside, but
nothing.
No.
No, nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just like, but what they did find was like in some of these tighter channels that are like shooting out at weird angles, there's like salt deposits built up on the walls.
Okay.
And I don't know. They were used for something great. I think it was some sort of a, energy. I think it was a generator, some sort of an energy generator.
I'm looking at pictures of it now because I never realized that the points were not there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's like loose stones on top, but yeah, it's the capstones are no longer there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Do you know anything? I don't know if you or Jay did any research at all about the Sphinx.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit. Where are you going with it?
I wanted information. I'm curious about it because I don't know much.
Okay, I don't know much either, but I'll tell you what I do know.
Yes.
And
because I feel like that could be like a like a tomb area or
something.
whatever, some sort of like spiritual whatever.
Okay, so what I know about that is the Egyptians claim to have built it just like the pyramids, but
but they lie.
Yes. No. I think they found it and just kind of built their city around it and claimed it. And generation after generation said that, yep, we built this for blah, blah, blah. But I think the Sphinx was like a lion or a cat statue beforehand, because have you ever noticed that the face of the Sphinx is so much smaller? Like, it's oddly proportioned to the actual size of the body and the head. And I think what happened was it used to be like a lion, or it used to be something else. Mm-hmm. And then the Egyptians carved a pharaoh's face from it into it. So it carved it smaller. And now the face is smaller because they carved from what was already there.
Yeah.
And also, on top of that, there's like, they can date these blocks. I don't know if it's carbon dating or what, but they can date roughly times of these blocks. But there was like refurbishing or like restructuring of the Sphinx itself, like around the outside, and just trying to like keep it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was basically like remodeling or restructuring to try to like help support it, stabilize it. But they dated the restructuring at the same date as when they claimed to have even. Yep, yeah, that's the photo. She's pulling up a photo.
Yeah, I was looking at like the structures on the side.
Yeah, so those things were built. Those are like the supposed like restructure, like the support built afterwards. But they dated those to the same time as when they're claiming that they built the Sphinx. So why would they need to build
extra support when it was
not extra support? That's not what it was. It was like a
reshaping almost.
Yeah, it was like because it was like, I can't remember exactly what it was, what the terminology was, but it was like a restructure or like a refurbishing, I guess.
Okay.
I'm going to listen back over this podcast and be like, you idiot.
Yeah. You're going to think of it later and be screaming into it. Like, it's this.
Yeah, that happens all the time. I listen to these and I'm like, God, you're such an idiot.
Yeah.
But no, it's like, just like they refurbished it, or they were like trying to re-support it. And, and they dated those supports as at the same date as what they claim to have built it as. So it's like, why do they need to refurbish it when it's on the date that they built it? Yeah. So it's just interesting. And then also another thing, there's water lines on the Sphinx. It's in a fucking desert. Why is there water lines? So it's older than. It's older. It's obviously older than what they say.
Yeah.
And I think that's what those restructuring things were to help support after the wear from the water.
Got it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pulling up photos of it right now, like zooming in on everything. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I never thought about any of that. But yeah, it's like it looks more like chiseled in and stuff on the face and everything. Yep. And like, I don't know, like the leg parts and like the little fingies.
Yep.
Are all so smooth and just like perfect looking, and the face is so not.
Yeah.
The face is pretty fucked up.
Yep.
So Egyptians were probably like, we could do this, and then they're like,
and
fuck, I don't know.
And the nose is broken off too.
Yeah, I was
so
just looking at
that's
that.
probably from tampering with it. That's probably from because they built the thing, and then the Egyptians found it, and then they went in and recarved a pharaoh's face onto it, and probably because they went in there and tampered with it, that it didn't hold up as good, and
got
the nose
fragile.
The nose being a major like jut outward without support, obviously is easy to break off.
Yeah, because even like the ear parts and like the outside parts where it's like the what's that called, like the headdress type thing.
Yep.
Is those look good and put together and smooth and nicely done. So I'm wondering if that was carved out from I mean, obviously you're going to see more of like the chisel marks and like everything and like the detailing of like the eyes and the nose and the mouth.
Yep.
But the ears and like that like headpiece are all really well done. That headpiece, almost like you were saying, like that looks like it would be correctly proportioned to the body. So I'm wondering if that was like a mane for like a lion or something, like you were saying.
Yeah,
like
but
that
then
was
they
part
just
of
like
a mane and they just
cut it flat.
Yep.
Yeah, and then just like made it look like a headdress.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's wild.
Theories.
Yeah. I'm into that one. I like it.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts and theories too.
Yes, please do.
And if you have any information, just let us know.
Yeah.
Always curious for more.
I love to hear everybody else's opinions on things because, again, even just your thoughts on that, like that's nothing I've ever heard before. And I mean, I haven't done any research really into like that stuff, but the only things I know about structures are what I was, told during my tour in Machu Picchu. But that's interesting to think about all of that.
Crazy stuff. Well, again, that was a huge tangent, so
sorry,
that's
guys.
totally fine. No, I wanted, I didn't plan on doing that, but it was nice to be able to circle back because I know there were some topics from previous episodes that we kind of wanted to circle back on. So that was
like
nice.
Every episode, I'm texting Brody. I'm like, oh my god, here's my take on this.
Yeah, exactly. No, I definitely got to have you on the podcast more.
I just like feel like I'm sitting there talking to the podcast in my car, telling my stories. I'm like, oh god, I wish I was recording that day because I could have totally just been like, let me tell this little quick tidbit.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. What was the last one too? I remember it was a JJ's episode. One of the JJ's episodes. I remember that. Or
oh yeah, something about probably when you're talking about our creepy ass basement. And,
that too.
Shit like I don't even know.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever.
But, yeah, I also want to have you back on the podcast too to do like an actual. Because I do talk a lot about myself a lot on this podcast, and like I want to like bring you in and get your take on our upbringing and kind of your life and what your thoughts, goals, and dreams are. I'd love to do a whole episode on that and just who you are too. Especially like I say all the time that this is more for my kids and for me and my family to look back on, and like you being family. I think it's important to be able to get you on here more and
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of talking about myself. I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah, you don't like talking about yourself.
I definitely don't. Yeah. No, I feel like I could be up for that. I like, bust open the vault of my brain and peel out those memories.
Blow off all the dust. And
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. No, that's so just a heads up for that in the future because I definitely want to do that. So
yeah,
I think that'd be a lot of fun. So awesome. Thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. This is a really good one. I really enjoyed this one. I know it kind of like veered off onto a side street, took an exit ramp at the end there, but totally fine.
I feel like at this point, the listeners who have heard my episodes know that we kind of go all haywire when we're talking. No, and I go so many random directions.
Yeah, it's totally fun. That's why I love leaving this podcast loose because I get like that freedom to be able to do what I want.
Yes.
Just, we can take any direction, anytime, anywhere. Yeah. So it's really cool not having like a specific, this is a only true crime podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
So. Oh god, dogs are going crazy. Oh, is that Doug?
I think Doug's here.
I hear your Keebles barking.
Oh, his Keebles out there.
My
little weenie.
All right, well, that's a perfect time to end it.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Steph, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for listening to me ramble once again.
Oh yeah, people love you, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, thanks guys.
Have a good day.
Peace.